Welcome, everyone. I'm glad you're here. I want to start by saying something very simple because simplicity matters here. Health isn't just about what you eat, it isn't just about how often you exercise, it isn't even just about how disciplined you are. Health is about how you live. And that's where most wellness systems break down. They focus on pieces. They obsess over tactics. They treat symptoms instead of addressing structure. For a long time now, we've been fed a version of health shaped by big pharma, big food, and the mainstream medical machine. A version that turns wellness into a product, a version that keeps people dependent on prescriptions, programs, experts who don't truly know them. That system doesn't exist to make people whole, it exists to keep people manageable. And the result is a culture that is tired, anxious, medicated, inflamed, and disconnected from wisdom that used to be common sense. But true wellness is something different. It's deeper than optimization, stronger than trends, more stable than motivation. And it starts by returning to how you were created to live. When you look at history, the people who actually changed the world didn't follow the herd. They didn't wait for a consensus. They didn't outsource responsibility. They didn't build their lives on convenience. Think about the kinds of people who stood firm when things fell apart. The prophets, the warriors, the disciples, the philosophers. They all lived by conviction. They trained their bodies. They renewed their minds. They endured when others quit. They stood when the world caved, not because they were superhuman, but because they were rooted. That's the kind of wellness philosophy we stand for at Dreamroot Wellness. This isn't about chasing hacks or stacking routines. It isn't about following influencer approved plans that change every 6 months. It's about reclaiming your health with knowledge, discipline, and integrity, grounded in truth that doesn't move with culture. Scripture puts this plainly. Proverbs chapter 10, verse 8 says, "The wise of heart will receive commandments, but a babbling fool will come to ruin." Wisdom receives instruction. Foolishness talks itself into circles. Here we don't follow trends, we follow the truth. To make this practical, not theoretical, I want to introduce the framework that undergirds everything we do here. It's called the Tree of Wellness. This isn't just a metaphor, it's a structure, a way to understand how health actually works when it's built to last. A tree doesn't grow strong because the leaves look good. It grows strong because what you can't see is healthy. That's where we start. No tree stands without roots. The roots are not visible, but they do determine everything else. In the Dreamroot Wellness philosophy, the roots are your values, the internal framework for how you live, decide, and endure. When those roots are planted in the fertile soil of Jesus Christ, they don't just support health, they multiply it. These roots are not optional, they're essential. The first root is integrity. Integrity means doing what's right, even when it's inconvenient, even when no one is watching, even when it costs you something. Without integrity, wellness becomes performative. You do the right things when conditions are perfect and abandon them when they're not. Integrity is what keeps you steady when motivation disappears. The second root is wisdom. Wisdom means seeking what's true, not what's trending. Trends promise speed. Wisdom promises stability. Wisdom asks better questions. Wisdom looks at consequences. Wisdom resists shortcuts. A wise person doesn't ask, will this work fast? They ask, will this work in 10 years? The third root is discipline. Discipline is training your body and mind toward purpose, not punishment or obsession, but training. Discipline is what turns intention into action. It's how values show up in real life. Without discipline, even good intentions decay. The fourth root is perseverance. Perseverance is staying the course when it stops being exciting, when progress slows, when results plateau, when life pushes back. Perseverance is what separates people who change from people who cycle. Scripture captures this principle clearly. The root of the righteous bears fruit. Proverbs 12:12. If your life isn't rooted in something strong, it will fall to anything weak. That's not moral judgment, it's reality. Roots alone are not enough. A tree also needs a trunk, and that's structure that holds everything together and keeps it upright. In this framework, the trunk represents balance and community. Your health is not one-dimensional. It's physical, it's mental, it's emotional, it's spiritual, and those areas constantly affect each other. You can eat perfectly and still burn out emotionally. You can train hard and still be mentally scattered. You can pray daily and still neglect your body. When things are out of alignment, your strength erodes quietly. Balance does not mean perfection. It means integration. And part of that integration comes from community. No one builds real wellness in isolation. Accountability matters. Encouragement matters. Perspective matters. Scripture again speaks plainly. Proverbs chapter 27, verse 17 says, "Iron sharpens iron, and one man sharpens another." Sharpening isn't comfortable, but it is necessary. You were never meant to walk this road alone. From the trunk grows the branches. These are the four expressions of wellness: physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual wellness. They're deeply connected. You can't strengthen one without affecting the others. Mainstream health tries to divide these. One expert for the body, another for the mind, another for your emotions, and often no one for your soul. But Scripture never divides the human person this way. You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your mind and with all your strength. Mark chapter 12, verse 30. Whole devotion requires whole health. You are not just a body. You are not just a brain. You were made to live and serve God as a whole person. Finally, we reach the sky. This is where knowledge turns into movement, where reflection becomes planning, where learning becomes action, where drift is replaced with intention. This is the area most people struggle with, not because they lack information, but because they never translate it into motion. They consume content, buy programs, they gather ideas, but nothing changes. The sky represents your ability to plan intentionally, assess honestly, reflect regularly, and then course correct when needed. Scripture again gives us the right frame here. Commit your work to the Lord, and your plans will be established. Proverbs chapter 16, verse 3. Commitment isn't passive, it's directional. You don't need more tips. You need a system, a structure, and the strength to follow through. It's important to say this clearly. This philosophy is not about perfection. It's about ownership, stewardship. The world wants you distracted, disembodied, dependent, but God calls you to be disciplined, discerning, whole. This framework isn't meant to impress anyone. It's meant to restore order in your life. That's why it works. So here's the invitation. If you're tired of outsourcing your health, if you're done following the world's version of wellness, if you're ready to stop cycling and start building, this is for you. The Dream Root Wellness philosophy is not a set of rules. It's a way of living. A return to roots, a return to stewardship, a return to truth. This is where we begin. Before we end, let's take a moment to reflect quietly. Which part of the tree feels weakest right now? Where might you need to rebuild instead of optimize? What does ownership look like in this next season? You don't need the perfect answer. Just be honest. We'll walk the rest together.